Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Come explore the roadmap of our shifting consciousness where self-actualization, exposing your talents and gifts is the norm. Now here's your host, Angela Blaha.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me here on the Blueprint Podcast. I have Renee Keene with me again today. How are you today, Renee?
Wonderful. It's a great day to be in this experience.
It is, and there's so much to talk about with the new Earth. It has been moved through the galactic center, and so that is exciting. I'm so excited about that because that really means that the birth now is literally on its way, right? And there's more creation happening in there. If you're connected to it, you can maybe see a few of the colors. I noticed pink was added since there's more people releasing the codes for the new Earth. So that's awesome. That's so exciting for me.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Big shifts. Big.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so let's get to our topic today. And it's a question from one of our followers. And it talks about free will versus soul path. The more I learn about astrology, the more I wonder how much free will plays into it. I remember when I first started diving into astrology and human design and all of those kinds of things. And I wondered the same thing. I was like, wait, is there no choice here, or what really happens, right? Like, what's really happening? Yeah.
It is a big question.
It's a big question. And it does, part of the world believes in destiny and the other part of the world believes in free will. So I'm going to explain the two different theories of thought, let's say. So Natal Astrology, which is basically the Western world's version of astrology. And then there's the Vedic Astrology, which is basically the rest of the world besides the Western world. Yeah. Vedic Astrology basically believes in a more deterministic view of astrology. They believe in destiny, fate, like what's in your chart is who you are. It's not necessarily concrete. I don't think that that's a really good word to describe it, but it is very much deterministic. Again, it all just depends on where your belief systems are, right? So if you believe in fate, then your chart is your fate. And, you also believe that if that's your fate, then nothing you can do will change it. So you become, in my view, almost enslaved to your destiny or to your chart. But, it's not right or wrong. It's just how you view things, right? So, but if you don't believe in destiny, then you believe in the natal chart version or theory of thought, which sees your astrology chart more as an archetype, something that becomes concrete or fatalistic only in the moment that it actually becomes a reality. Then it becomes deterministic or fatalistic. Before that in time, it is sort of multidimensional and very transformative. So only in the moment does it become actualized. Before that, or even after that, there's more of a self-actualization or self-mastery that can actually change the chart or change the idea of the chart. So again, it's all about what you believe, right? So if your beliefs support change, transformation, then this moves you out of that fate, deterministic components of your personality. No longer are you a puppet to the gods or the planets or the universe or anything like that. You become the master. You become the one who makes all the decisions, and you're the one that's in control. Anything to add to that, Renee?
I think that is precisely the way it operates. Yeah. I mean, both pieces. I'll pop in later. I have something to add, but it's not quite yet.
Okay. All right. So what does free will, right, have to do with destiny? Well, if we believe in free will, that you have this power, you're the holder of all the power, and you're the holder of the power to change your life, you literally, then that's how you live out your life. Like you're the one that's in charge. Every decision that you make has a consequence to it, and you're willing to live out the consequence. Now, if you don't believe in that, you literally give up your power. You hand over your power or your free will to destiny or to fate or to determinism, right? Like your power to choose over what's in your chart becomes null and void. Like you don't feel like you have any power to make decisions for yourself. So free will states that you are the holder of the power. So it's like they're at odds, right? Like this is the duality of the world, of the way that we believe in things. But free will says that you're the power, that you are the power, and you make all the decisions. Not someone else or something else doesn't hold that power, but you hold that power.
And that's really what you've been talking about since this podcast began.
Yeah. It's
You
all about
are the power. I am the power. We are our own power. We can give it away, and oftentimes do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we give it to destiny, or we can give it to this other, whatever it might be.
Or someone else or something.
Or someone else. Yes, exactly. So in actualizing my power, who I am, expressing my free will, I get to use astrology to look at what might be my strengths based on what my chart shows. Where might I have some work to do, because it might not be what flows naturally in who I am. I still have the free will to decide how I want to use my chart.
Yeah, I think that this is exactly where soul path or your soul, your intuitive connection comes into play, right? Like it becomes the path to self-mastery, in my opinion. I do believe that we bring certain aspects or personality traits as destiny kind of components to overcome or to work through in every single lifetime. I believe that we do bring certain things with us that we want to either dive into or to transform, right? So personality traits are like literally how we think, the patterns or our behaviors, how we feel. So it covers our mental body, our emotional body, our physical body, and our spiritual body. So literally our personality traits are those things. For example, like if you're very driven. So this is definitely a personality trait. If you are, maybe you believe in working hard, maybe you're super motivated, maybe you have a type A personality, maybe you have ADHD, right? So those are all things that can compound a personality trait of being a very driven person. So we see our traits as either strengths, like you said, or weaknesses, and we bring them in as, I feel, destiny components to transform or to dive deeper into, that we want to learn more about it or we want to experience it more at a different level. So that's how I see astrology and free will and soul path. They all work together.
Agree. They do. And the way I look at it also, it's why when I created my soul plan, it's why I'm a Virgo. It's why I was born when I was born, because these are the skills that either I have or I'm working on mastery with them. And I designed that this tool, if I choose to use it, can assist me in looking at my divine soul plan, which I created, not destiny, not fate, not some other being out here. I did. And in this experience, this life experience now, that's what I decided to be. That's how I decided to come at it. That was my own free will creating that. When I can just say, I'm never going to look at free will allows me to say, I'm not going to look at astrology ever again. Or ever if I would have. That's where we get to decide what guides us. What are we allowing to guide us? What are we allowing? And I mean, it's not even guide us. It's not really guiding. It's like what
are we
cues
giving our power to?
What cues did I leave for myself to go, hey, when I'm off somewhere where I don't choose to be, what have I left for myself to look at and say, oh yeah. I created that. Where does that fit now for me?
Yeah, this is how I feel pain and suffering comes in, how it can be useful is it's a course corrector.
Mhm.
You know, when you get yourself into an experience of not feeling of having pain, whether that's mental pain, emotional pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, right? I feel like it's like I put that in my path in order to correct me. If I get a little too far, it's like, in a car nowadays, we have these automatic driving components, right? And it keeps you sort of in the lane. Well, when I go out of my lane, it course corrects, right? It pulls me right back. That's exactly how I see pain and suffering is used. It's,
Totally.
like I've experienced that in my life, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I got to stop doing this because this is too much. This is too much suffering for me. I'm not here to suffer. I'm here for all the abundances of the universe. And so that's how I see, like free will, soul path, like all of astrology, like all of these kinds of things. They're here as course correctors. They're here to pull me back into the center, into my lane where I'm supposed to be. And they can be very, very useful tools. But I don't believe that if something horrible is in my chart, that it has to be played out as horrible.
Completely, yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had things, Pluto's coming into play here shortly for all of us, for all of humanity. It's not
For a while, yeah.
20 years. We can't
Mhm.
deny it that it's going to be here, right? But we can work with Pluto energy in order to be in the center lane so that we aren't too far outside, on the verges of it and feeling, experiencing pain and suffering. Now, Pluto is here to transform us, right? It's here to bring in these energies to make change. Generally, in the past, when Pluto's come in, they make large humanitarian changes. Pluto's all about self-mastery. It's all about destroying that does not work and create something that does work. This is what self-mastery is, right? And it's in our chart. It's in every single person's chart. You can't deny it.
Pluto is like the master of all course correctors.
Totally agree.
Master of all course correctors.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find as the more aware I become, the more I understand, the more I step into who I am, the quicker I see these course corrections I've set for myself. I don't have to go all the way into suffering anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like all of us, whatever I'm moving through, it's like, okay, yep. It just goes, it's so much quicker to recognize it. Yes. And it doesn't mean you still don't have some things that, trip you up every once in a while, but for the most part, it is completely and utterly right there in front of my face. I don't have to go looking so far anymore.
Right.
I don't have to, I still get to dive into it. I'm not saying there still isn't work to do, but it's like you catch it almost right away. Boy, what's that about?
Yeah. And if you're really good at transforming yourself, your thoughts, the way that you believe things, if you practice enough, I think it's a practice, And if you get really good at it, that transformation can be seconds instead of hours, days, months, years. Right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it can literally be that quick. It can just be, oh, that's what that is. And then you just transform it. And you're like, yeah, okay, I don't need that. Right?
And you don't have to go into the story of it anymore.
Yeah,
You
stories
don't have to see the whole big story. It's like, oh, got it.
Mhm. And you don't have to relive the story.
Absolutely.
That's even worse when you have to relive things. That's a
Yes.
pattern. That's a character trait that you might want to look at and say, oh, why do I repeat? Yeah.
Not for me.
No, me
No,
either. I'm not into
no.
those things any longer. Well, I think that that's part of, why when we start diving into these things like astrology or human design, even like that one's still, like I spent a couple years diving deeper into that, trying to figure out what it meant and who I am and how to use this kind of a tool. Literally, that's all these things are, tools to sort of help course correct. And how to, when you're diving into those kinds of things, like there's things that come up in your awareness and it's like, oh, oh, I remember that. I know what that is. Don't do that any longer. Or, oh, wow, this is new. I wonder what that looks like. And then that's when you start to dive into those kinds of, or if you're adventurous
Yeah.
and you want to dive into those kinds of traits or those kinds of avenues, you can literally do that. But that again is free will. Now, if you completely believe in destiny, you wouldn't even look at those kinds of things.
That's accurate. And going back to, I mean, both those, the astrology component, the gene keys component, all of those are things that we get to look at and experience. And what I've found so interesting is that I have enjoyed having astrology readings from different people. And is there the same basic component in all of them? Yep, there is.
Mm-hmm.
However, each person is looking at something through their own lens. So this one might point something out that this one doesn't. Not that it's not there, but it's where their focus is. And so I find it really empowering to check in with someone else, to say, oh, I wonder what's going on over here. And it's not that anything's necessarily changed, but someone else is giving you a new perception of what something might look like. And you can decide to go, yeah, no. Or you can say, wow, that is an aspect of me. I didn't even really realize it was here in my chart, but let me look at what that is like. And is it really an aspect of me? Or is it a hidden aspect I don't know about?
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities are endless.
Mm-hmm.
So my point, I guess, is that, one astrological reading is wonderful. 2 is better. And you can go to the same person because the same person may give you a completely different reading the second time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in your energy and the energy that they're picking up on as they're looking at it, which is what's so powerful about where we are right now.
Yeah.
Each moment is new. Each moment, not just each day. Each moment is new. We're moving into this new earth. It's been, it's well on its way. It's all new. And what it looked like yesterday is different. So you get to move forward into the new for you today, the new for you.
Mm-hmm.
And these are tools.
Right. Everything's a tool here. Like well, it is. Everything
in fact, I've been called a tool, right?
Everything in the world here can be seen as a tool for course correction, honestly.
Yeah.
The astrology chart. So we talk about self-mastery all the time here and self-actualization and, how do you do that? Like, do you self-master destiny? it's a great question, right? Like
It is a good question.
it's like, can you self-master destiny? Probably. I'm going to say, yeah. Why can't you?
Why not?
Yeah. It would be very boring for me to self-master destiny, but is it possible? Absolutely. Because there's no room for creation in destiny. Because destiny is just A plus B equals C,
Yeah.
and it's a determined outcome. And there's no creation for determinism, right? Like there's determinism. There's no creation components. And I'm here for creation components. Like that's who I am. Like I'm always trying to create something new or something different, or see the world in a different way, or see myself in a different way. And so for me, it would be very, very boring to have that in my realm of reality. Let's put it that way. I'm very much into free will and soul path. And, like everything can be transformed. Every single thing I believe can be transformed. Again, totally depends where your belief systems are.
So I want to pose a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that self-mastery of destiny? By understanding where destiny sits?
Yeah, why not?
For you? I mean, that's how it feels to me. It's just like, I understand you're there. Mm-hmm. You're not my master. I'm mastering you, whether or not I want to move into what someone has pre-written or determined for me.
Exactly.
Nope, not today.
Exactly. And I do believe
self-mastery.
I do believe that we have brought in certain components, certain characteristic traits to either transform or to dive deeper into. I totally believe that. And I've experienced that in my life,
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I understand destiny. And I understand where it fits in my life, but right now I'm so into creation. It's like, yeah, okay, destiny, you're done for.
Been there, done that.
We did that in our 20s, not anymore.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's probably, I think when you come to some sort of realization, there's a whole new level of self-mastery, right? When you can say when you could put a boundary in and say, this is destiny on this side, and this is creation on this side, and this is when I'm going to pass, this is when I'm going to cross the line, and this is when I'm not, then I think that feels like self-mastery. You know exactly what you're choosing, what you're deciding at any given time, and where the power is going to lie. That's the most important thing, is where does the power lie within your decisions, right? Like, who are you giving up your power, or are you keeping your power? I think that's the most important creation component, that especially in where we are now in our shifting consciousness, that who holds the power here and why? Like, is it for determinism? Is it for creation? Is it for destruction? Or is it for, I mean, what's it for? Like, that needs to be an awareness and part of the decision that we make, and where that power lies. That needs to be incorporated in my opinion, that needs to be incorporated all the time. That's what self-mastery is.
Mm-hmm. And self-mastery is an ongoing process.
Yes.
Based on what you just said.
Yeah, because we're always in growth and expansion.
We are. It's always evolving. Mm-hmm. And that's what's cool, I think, because we get to see what that new day or new moment or new experience looks like. And we get to master it.
Yeah.
In our own way. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's way.
Yeah.
It can, if that's what you choose. It can, if that's what you choose. Angie and I both being more creative beings, it's like, I really don't want to do it exactly like you. I'd kind of like to do it my own way. And that doesn't mean I'm saying your way's wrong and my way's right. It's just like allowing others to follow their own way. Mm-hmm. It's okay.
taking the competition out of it. Like there's no competition here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That when that piece drops completely, I think it's dropped a bit, but when that piece competition drops completely, oh my goodness, a whole new world.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, new world.
I wonder how competition plays into destiny. Like, what's the component there? Because I know that they're very related, but then, I think that free will also has a component of competition, but I, I feel like I feel like it's a choice. Like it's a choice to either be competitive in your free will, and if you're running a race, of course you're going to be competitive, but what race are we running here of humanity? Like literally we're in a race of who's of ascension. Like
Yeah, wake up.
yeah, we're literally in a race of ascension, and there's definite competition out there, I'm going to say, particularly in these so-called spiritual and new age communities. Like there's like I don't know how there can be competition in these areas, but there is. And is it deterministic? Well, some of them seem to be the ones, especially if there's a um, end of times kind of mentality that's trying to be created. I feel like those are very deterministic, and they've been done before, so they're already in our DNA. Doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. It's just they've already been done. Why are we trying them again? That's my whole thing. Why are we trying that again? Because it's already been done. Didn't quite work out very well. We're not doing a wiping this time, remember? So
You brought up a great point with the whole term competition, and it's something that people aren't always aware of. It's not just a sporting event thing. It's not this team against that team. That's one form of competition. But I would encourage people to just kind of look at where you have competition with someone. It could be you're going to a party and you've made a bunch of appetizers and you've got to beat everybody. Your appetizer has to be the best. Instead of, wow, I wonder if anybody will bring a new recipe and I'll get a new recipe. Pay attention to your energy and how you approach things like that. And I found for myself anyway, I would imagine you will find there's a whole lot more competition left in you than you thought there was. Because it's a bigger, broader component in our lives and we don't even realize it.
Anytime there's a judgment, there's competition. Yeah. And can you escape this world without judgment? I don't think so. It's a world of duality, and I think
we'd like to.
I know. I would love to believe that I don't judge, but I do.
As it comes out of my mouth, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a judgment.
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Yeah. So anytime that there's judgment, there is competition. And then, you get to decide if you're going to transform that or dive deeper into it. But either way, it's not necessarily destiny, nor is it free will. I think some things like competition, because of the way the third dimension frequencies are constructed, are just givens. Like you don't really you have a choice whether you want to play in the given or whether you want to, be competitive or judgmental. You are the one that holds that choice. I don't think it's destiny. I think it's a choice.
Definitely a choice.
Yeah. But there are certain rules here that are just rules. Duality is a rule.
Yeah.
Positives and negatives. I mean, it's, that's the way magnetism works here. It's not like it's a destiny or a free will pattern. It's just one of the rules. I think destiny or free will comes into play when you're the decision maker, when you're the one that says, okay, this is what I'm going to choose to do. This is how I'm going to decide to live my life with this character trait as a strength or a weakness. And that's how it gets played into either destiny or free will. Like, I don't feel like well, maybe our natal chart does have some of these kinds of, it does have these things in it, like destiny, free will, all those kinds of things. But it also, you also have to look at the rules of how the game is being played in the first place, right? How does that play into destiny or free will? I think that's where the power of decisions and choice and who you are gets. That's where the power lies. That for me, that's where the power is in that space of, okay, this is the rule. What am I going to decide to do?
I love rules so much. Let's see how I'm going to follow this one.
Exactly.
That's usually my thing that I have to work through first before I can even move into the next phase of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the power of transformation or diving deeper, like
Mhm.
I think I think that that's part of the bigger picture when we can move out of the minutia of destiny or free will and see a giant picture here, like, oh, then it becomes like more fun to live, right? Like that's where thriving becomes more important than survival, because you're not down here in this little funnel any longer. You're out here in the big universe, and the universe says, look, these are the abundances. How are you going to choose? That's why I'm an Aquarian. I see the big picture.
Yes, you do. Well, I'm just so glad that you do.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
it is a big picture. And if we focus on, and this is probably a judgment, but if we choose to focus on destiny, there's not the same kind of big picture as there is if you have a different focus.
Yeah.
Because then your focus is very narrow, because it's just this one way or just this one thing, and there are no other possibilities.
Yeah.
You want the big picture?
Yeah, that feels way too limiting for me. I couldn't do that. Destiny.
And somebody can probably and be a number one.
You go for it.
Because exactly, and you do it if that's your thing.
Heck yeah.
It's again being very aware and responsible of who this is, who I am. Doesn't give me the right to trump on anybody else's choices or decisions.
Right.
It means I'm just really aware of what works for me.
For sure.
It isn't looking at destiny. At least right now.
Right. So to sum it all up, astrology is your personality chart, and you get to decide if you're going to use free will or destiny to create power or not power within your life. Literally, that's how that sums it up for me. I'm all about power, if you can't tell. Well, I think that humans have, I think that humans have not used personal power in so many
eons,
so many millions and millions of years, that I think we have a lot of fear about it. Personal power, the power to make decisions, the power to say, yeah, destiny is not who I am this lifetime. The power to say, okay, destiny is who I am this lifetime. Like I think that we've given up our power for such a long time, and now we're being asked to use our own personal power. And I think we have a ton of fear about it. And this is just one example. Astrology, understanding if it's destiny or not. Well, it all depends on what you believe. Literally, it boils down to your personality and your characteristic traits. What do you believe? Which is all about self-actualizing.
Yes.
Well, I think that sums it up. Do you have anything to add?
I do not. I think you just summed it up beautifully. So everybody go. Get ready. It's coming.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks everyone for being here on the Blueprint podcast. Thanks Renee again for joining me.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Thank you for being with us today. To find out more about Angela, visit her website at www.angelablaha.com.